Hello and welcome back. Today I have a fun one for you. I'm going to do my best impersonation of my crafty BFF Kelly. If you have not checked out her channel, make sure to check the description box below and I'll have a link to it. So she usually does a lot of Copic coloring, and because Copic coloring has a lot of is time consuming, there's always a crafty chat. So we're going to be coloring and crafty chatting, but first let's talk about what we're using. Today I'm going to be using Picket Fence. This is their Haunted Moon blending stencils, their Hey 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 stamp set and die, and then I'm also going to throw in the cornstalk die, which I don't have shown here. Now, Picket Fence was kind enough to send me this product, but they made it very clear that I was under no obligation to use it, so this is not sponsored, but I did receive the product for free. As soon as I opened it up, I knew I wanted to play with this moon mask here. Or stencil. It's a stencil and a mask. It includes that little mask there. We're going to have a backlit and front lit scene here. So the first thing I need to do is set up where I want my moon to be. I want it to be a giant moon, a big old moon, because, you know, this is the first thing I gravitated toward, that moon, right? So the scarecrow is going to be the star, but that moon is going to be a close second. Hell, the moon might even be actually the star. I don't know. You tell me, which one is it? So I've cut a mask here using some Eclipse masking paper to mask off my ground, and now we're going to start ink blending this background. I'm starting with tumbled glass, and I'm going to do a very, very light halo. I'm going to go in and out from real time to 2.5 times. I think that's where I ended up editing this at. Yeah. So we'll go back and forth between real time and 2.5 times speed. So I'm using that tumbled glass with the rabbit hole blender brush. These are my favorite. You guys see me use them all the time. I've said it before, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. These are my favorite blending brushes. I've tried a couple. These are what I've landed on. So you'll see them all the time. Very light halo of that tumbled glass. I want this moon to glow. So I'm just creating a very light halo of that tumbled glass, coming all the way around that mask. Then I'm going to switch over to Uncharted Mariner Distress Ink, and I'm going to work this up from the bottom. So we're going to come up to the bottom and we're going to meet that halo, but we're going to leave a slight white glow in between these two, because that's where that moon is going to be casting that bright light, okay? So I'm going to work up from the bottom. I want you to also notice that when I'm creating this, I'm following the contour of that mask. So I'm going to do my little circular blending to get up to where I want. Then I'm going to take that brush and I'm going to sweep it back and forth following the contour of the mask. So you can see here I've slowed it down a bit, and you'll notice that I'll go back and forth from side to side in a rounded motion. That's to get that to keep that rounded halo. All right, back up to speed here, and we're going to keep working that in. I'm going to bring in some black soot, just a littlest bit here, and we're going to work that in from the bottom as well. So you can see here I've switched over. This is my black blending brush. This one's dedicated to my black color, so it's the only one. This is a honeybee blending brush. These are great as well, but this one is smaller. The rabbit hole only comes in the one larger size, so for my smaller sizes, I have the honeybee. All right, so now we're just going to smooth that out with a little more Uncharted Mariner, and I'm not going to worry about getting a perfect blend. It's a sky, you guys. It's going to be a little murky. Different things are in the background affecting how much light is coming through. Trees maybe, which, spoiler alert, I'm going to add some later. So, all right, now we're going to go into the stencil, and this is going to let us add those craters, the craters in the moon, right? So I'm going to lay this down, and I'm going to take some pumice stone. We're doing a blue moon, so a little bit of pumice stone, and I'm going to concentrate it heavier in the center of the moon and fade it out to the edges. So you can see here, I'm only really laying down ink in the very center, not worrying about capturing that stenciling on the edges. It's going to go with that glow around the outer edge, right? They're going to be washed out by the glow of the moon. Putting on the second one, which adds a little bit of deeper details, and I like to hold it in place. This one, I found it was easier to hold it in place with my fingers, and then I can just flip it back and check the progress. All right, so now we're going to remove that mask on the bottom, and we're going to start blending that as well. I've got a little bit of antique linen here. Right now I'm just using my dirty brown brush. So this is my brush dedicated to all my browns. Now I'm going to pick up that antique linen. We're going to start blending that in. I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the moon, right? Start light, go to dark. I'm going to leave the center area brighter, and towards the end, I'm actually going to make this ground a lot darker. Once I got my scarecrow colored and all of that, I felt almost like he was sitting on the edge of a planet, like we were looking at this from space. And you'll see it a little bit later. It was like, looked very odd to me. I was like, it's like he's floating on the surface of a planet and you can see the moon. It was just odd. But a little bit of antique linen, a little bit of vintage photo to warm it up a little bit. And now I just wanted to knock it back a tiny bit. And I used a little bit of, what did I use? Frayed burlap. Now you can see in there in the moon, I put my fingerprints, I had ink on my fingers, put my fingerprints on the moon. So now I'm using my scrap mask there to just keep me from touching the actual project and putting any more marks on it. But don't worry, because where our scarecrow lands, he's going to cover up that little bit of ink I got on the moon. So we're going to be all right. So now I'm just adding in a little bit of, a little more of that frayed burlap, I believe. Might even came in with some walnut stain. I'll have everything linked below. Now, sea sponge is not just good for your realism. Here we go. I'm going to use it to add some texture to the soil here or the ground. And I'm just using the dirty, whatever's left on my little sponge there from the last project and stippled some dots. There we go. We got texture. All right, so now we're going to move into stamping. I'm using Memento. This is my preferred stamping my preferred stamping ink for when I Copic color. I'm using my MISC. We're going to stamp this down, and I got a pretty decent impression, but I can see there's some bare spots there. So I'm just going to ink that up, and now I'm going to just concentrate on pressing in the areas I saw that did not get a great impression, and that is it. Now we are ready to color. Now I'm working on Neenah's super smooth 80-pound cardstock, and I'm going to show you all of the colors here like Kelly does. I told you I'm doing my Kelly impersonation here. These are the colors we're going to use. I'm going to start with the scarecrow's face. This, I'm imagining in my head that it's like a burlap sack. So that's what I'm going for. And remember, I told you that I want this to be backlit from the moon and have a little bit of forward light. So maybe he's out in the middle of a cornfield and there's a spotlight on him. I don't know. I don't know why you would have a spotlight in the middle of a cornfield, but in this case you do, okay? So we're just going to pretend. So what I like to do is I like to start by mapping in my shadows with my lightest color. You can go straight in with your dark, but I will inevitably go too heavy with my dark to start. And I can always add more color, but it's more difficult to take it away. So I'll map in my shadows with my lightest color, then I'll go straight to my darkest. And then this is where I will work in my shadows. You can see here that I'm starting pretty far over on the left side of his head, and that is because I want that backlighting coming from the moon, right? So my darkest shadow is not going to be all the way over on the left side of his head. I want that moonlight to be coming from behind and lighting up the back of him. So it's going to, if he's stuffed and he's round, that light is going to be coming around the back, and it's going to create a shadow more in the front. So that's what I'm doing here. So for all of my coloring, I'm going to show you what markers I'm using. I'm going to start by mapping in my shadows 99% of the time, and then I'll go straight to my dark. So let's talk a little chit chat, right? Because again, that's what Kelly does. So we're paying some homage here. Well, Kelly will tell you, you get to know all of her life story. She's great about that. Like, she's really good about sharing and making connections. I'm a much more private person. Mainly because I'm just boring now. I'm at that age where my kids are pretty much grown. They still try to give me a heart attack every now and then, but they're grown, and I pretty much just work and garden. So I have no stories to tell you, you guys. She's good on the story time. She's still got a little. I don't. So I concentrate mainly on the teaching in my videos, and that will lead us into today's topic, right? So my YouTube channel is mainly focused on teaching and not so much chit chat. And let's talk about the social medias, guys, because YouTube is the social media. And don't worry, I'm not going to come in here finger wagging. This is more of it's to help everybody figure out what they want to get out of the content on social media. So first ask yourself, what do you like, right? Do you just like looking at pretty pictures to get inspired and you're ready to move on? Pinterest is probably a great place for that, right? Do you like to look at pretty pictures but maybe interact a little bit? Instagram's going to be really good for that, right? You have the ability to chit chat back and forth a little bit, but you're not really going to get into a whole lot of community per se. If you like the pictures and you love community, Facebook is great for that. There are so many wonderful community, encouraging family-like communities around a lot of crafting on Facebook. Look at those Facebook groups. You'll get the pretty pictures and you get to know people, and it feels like you have a little crafting group, a little virtual crafting group, right? Now, do you want videos? Do you want instruction, but you want zero additional, like nothing else? Like, I don't care what your weather's like. I don't care if your, cat ran away. I don't want to hear, none of your business. Well, Reels would be really good for that, and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. Those are going to be great. Succinct, to the point, show you how to do something, and it's entertaining, right? So if you just want to be entertained or just quick hits, Reels and Shorts are going to be your jam. Now, if you are here because you want to build relationships, a community, you want in-depth instruction, you want some entertainment as well, YouTube videos are going to be it for you, right? You'll get your edited down version, but you get some community, you get more in-depth instruction, and that's perfect for YouTube. Now, if you are craving community, you don't have any crafty friends, lives are going to be great for you. But if you do not want to participate in a community-like environment, lives are not for you. Don't get it wrong, okay? So I think it's important that we realize what we are personally looking for in the content that is provided so that we aren't disappointed in what we're getting from the avenue that we are seeking it from, correct? So what is that? Why do I bring that up? Because I see a lot of comments about people will dog lives. They will say, I don't want to hear all the chit chat and the chatter, and I don't care. Why do they have to say hi to people as they're joining in? Yada, yada, yada. Bluntly, lives are not for you then. They're not. There are some people that love that, right? They've tuned in to watch that person live specifically so that they can converse back and forth in real time with that person and the people in the chat. So essentially when you're saying, I don't care about that, I don't got time for that, I don't want that, that's valid, completely valid, but you're invalidating the creator's time and you're invalidating the rest of the communities, the rest of the viewers, and what they came there for. So you don't want to cheat those who came for that more interactive live experience just because that's not what you were looking for, and you came to the wrong avenue to find what you were looking for. YouTube videos are probably going to be more for you. If you want even less chatter, Reels and Shorts are probably going to be for you. So content creators, we have a very large audience to cater to of very different skill sets. And believe it or not, we're not professionals. The bulk of the content creators on YouTube are not professionals. They're not getting paid to create this content. In fact, most of them are crafters and hobbyists just like you who decided to put themselves out there. And just because they put themselves out there doesn't mean that they are opening themselves up to unnecessary criticism, right? I think we're all born creative. We're all born to seek that, to learn and seek creativity. But at some point, a lot of people, unfortunately, somebody said the wrong thing at the right time that crushed that creative spirit, and they never picked it back up. just took their joy. And you never want to be the person that takes someone's joy, right? I mean, I hope not. I'm going to say we all don't, right? So think about then before you leave a bad comment or before you complain about somebody's content, even on social media, because I know that I can tell you people are reading it. They are reading it, and there is a good chance they'll see it. Our community, although it is big, it is small, and they will most likely see it. And they will be crushed, especially if they are brand new to this hobby and they have just decided to get out there because they wanted to connect with people that were like-minded, and they probably don't have that in their real everyday life. I am not finger wagging. I'm not telling you guys what to do. I'm giving you an alternative perspective to look at it from here. You could be the one that crushes someone's joy by leaving the wrong comment at just the right time, or making the wrong comment at just the right time. So let's try not to do that. That doesn't mean that you can't have your opinion and you can't voice your opinion, but it also means that you have to take responsibility for your words, because your words are your actions, and not everybody is going to receive your intentions the way you intended, and you have no recourse for correcting that. Like once you say it out here in the internets, it's pretty much done. And you don't want to inadvertently be that person that crushes someone's spirit, right? Okay, so what am I doing here? I am coming in with some W's, and I am knocking back some of my shadows. This way I can deepen those shadows without actually intensifying the color, because this is a night scene. All of your colors are going to be more muted, especially in the shadows. So by glazing some W's over top of some of my shadows, I'm able to make them darker, but not more saturated in color. So that's just what I'm doing here. My Copic coloring method is not methodical. I rarely do any of it the same way twice. It is more feel. So you can see here that I started off pretty light with my coloring, pretty basic. Just made sure to keep in mind to keep my brights bright where they needed to be. And then I come in after I color the entire image, and I can reassess what needs to be deepened, because again, once you go dark, it's almost impossible to remove that color. I could have stopped here, easily stopped here, and it would have been fine. But again, I wanted a night scene. I wanted some backlighting, and that's why I'm coming in and deepening up some of these shadows and knocking back the saturation of the color. And once he's all colored up, it's time to die cut him. I'm going to use the coordinating die here to cut him out, and then we will be ready to put him on our card. No, we won't. There's more we got to do. I already told you. Okay, so all of my newbie crafters out there, I actually got a question on a video not too long ago, and a lot of the times as we progress as crafters and we're content makers, we gloss over some of the basics. So when I had said I'm going to treat the cardstock and then heat emboss it, they didn't know what treat the cardstock meant. And that's a totally valid question. It's just that I've been doing this so long that I take those basics for granted. So newbies out there, if there is something in a video that the content creator just glosses over, ask in the comment below and I'm sure they will answer you. But if you want more in-depth, you can also look back at the previous videos, some of the older videos that creator has made. If you enjoyed their teaching style, check out their older videos. They started at the beginning as well, and they'll probably have some detailed videos on some of those basics. So do that, and also you can search YouTube. So for example, put in card making, heat embossing, and you'll get a plethora of videos. All right, so back to the card here. I've taken their cornstalk dies and I've die cut that from white cardstock, and now I'm going to use my Copic markers to color those. This is where I was like, dude, he looks like he's sitting on the top of a planet, and this is a scene from space. I was like, he's got ground under him, but he still needs to be grounded because that is barren. Why would you have a scarecrow sitting out in a barren field? You wouldn't, would you? So I'm adding a little bit of green as a base to all of this white cardstock. Now, you could absolutely ink blend this, but these are delicate little pieces, right? Once we've cut it out, they're pretty delicate. You could ink blend your cardstock and then die cut it. You could cut it from green cardstock. There's a million ways you could do this. I just had already cut them. I'm working on the fly, building as I go. Copics it was. Now I've come in and I'm just going to add some depth and dimension to these. I'm starting off with them being green. They're green in real life, but I will mute them back, and you'll see how I do that here a little bit later. Again, I work on the fly, you guys, and I build. I don't always have a game plan going in, so a lot of the times it is modifying as I go. Could I have started out with super muted colors and just colored these with grays? Probably, but you need those hints of green to shine where the moonlight would be hitting them too. So this is what worked for me. Try something different. If you have a different approach, it may work. All right, so here I'm in my head going, man, this is just odd. So I tried deepening up the back. I tried deepening up the land here. I'm like, maybe if I make it a little bit darker, it'll seem a little more grounded. Light things tend to come at you and seem like they're floating. Darker things recede away from you and they seem like they are grounded. So we're going to darken up the land here a little bit. And hopefully that will make it look less planet-like. Okay, so back to our topic at hand, social media. Now, again, I am not finger wagging. I am not an all sunshine and rainbows person. Trust me, I'm super sarcastic. I'm pretty dark. It's how I am. However, I was always taught to, the old saying, measure twice, cut once. I grew up and I tried to practice most of the time, think twice, speak once. All right, because our words are actions and we have to take responsibility for our actions and our words. It really doesn't matter what your intentions were with your words or your actions. You are on the hook for how your actions or words affect others as well, right? You are not on the hook for them accepting your explanation if they choose not to, but you are on the hook for what your actions and words or how your actions and words cause others to feel, right? So just something to think about in the world of social media, because these are things that you would never think to say to a person if you were in person, right? If you were standing in front of them, half of the things that people say on social media, they would not say. Quick, right back to the card. I am adding in a little tree line here using W6? I'm just adding a little tree line back here. And again, this is going to help it look less planet-like in space and more actually down below the atmosphere on the ground. Is that right? We're not in space anymore. We're grounded. Immediately, that gave it less. Now we're no longer floating in space. So that was a good call. And I am not here to tell anybody how they should behave in public. That's not my job. I have children. That's my job. But like I said, we are prone to voice our dissatisfaction quicker than we are to voice our satisfaction. But we are much less likely to voice our dissatisfaction if it's not really a big deal when it's in person. So for example, if you watch these YouTube videos they're virtual classes. It is a way for these content creators to bring you virtual classes, right? Now, if this was an in-person class and you didn't like something about the instructor, you're not going to stand up in the middle of the class and say, you talk too much, I don't like it, right? You would never do that. I hope you would never do that. So why would you do it online? And this is free virtual classes. So again, this is not finger wagging. It's just one of those things that sometimes we don't think about, right? You would never stand up in a class and tell an instructor that you did not like the way that they did something, or you would not ask them, why did you do it like that? That was stupid. Because that's the comments that we see. I'm just saying. You might address it a little more tactfully. And if you want your content creators to continue to bring you this free content, make an effort to voice your satisfaction as much, if not more, as you voice your dissatisfaction, right? First decide, does this dissatisfaction actually need to be voiced? Will it actually obtain the goal that I am seeking, right? That's number one. And number two, make sure that the avenue that you are seeking this content from is the avenue that delivers the content you're looking for. So, you're not going to walk into a roaring 20s party and say like, yo, this music is so old. What are y'all wearing? Can we get some more modern stuff? Like, not the right place, right? So make sure what you're seeking is delivered on the platform that you are on. Okay? That's all I'm saying. All right, so here we are adding in some more depth, right? I still felt like we needed a little more depth, and I just took a stencil. So this is the leftover, the negatives from where I die cut those corn stalks, and I just traced through them to create some shadowed corn stalks, so it would make it look like it was a little bit deeper of a cornfield. That's it. Now we can start adhering everything. I'm going to put my little corn stalks here on the side, make it look like he's sitting maybe in an opening, but I don't like how low he is. And I've got a little problem here because this bird, as cute as he is with his long little legs, if I move this up, he is hanging off the top, which wouldn't be a problem if my card were bigger, but it's not. So we're going to trim him. I'm going to cut him off and I'm going to move him down and make his legs shorter. Super easy, right? Just go ahead and I'm going to cut right underneath his body here. And then that will allow me to glue him back on at whatever height that I want to. So I can have him sitting on his hat or standing on his hat. Super simple. Now, I normally do not mind a white outline. However, in these scene cards and in a night scene card, it did bother me. So in true Kelly fashion, I am going to color the border here to match and blend in with the background. That means that I'm going to pick Copic colors that closely match whatever is in the background. Sometimes I did have to glaze some colors. I didn't have exact matches, so I would put down one color of Copic color and then glaze another color on top, and I was able to get it to match pretty decently. Now, in true Dawn style, I'm going to take way too long to do this. Y'all, I'm slow. This is no secret. I'm a slow crafter. I like to take my time, and sometimes I will go over things way too many times. But hey, we all have our own styles, right? You can see there I blended a little bit of that BG10 over that B91, and that was because we're going to be moving into the Uncharted Mariner, which does have a little bit of green to it, and that helped to blend that in. So I'll continue all the way around blending this, and then we can take a look at the final card because the only thing left is to adhere those corn stalks, and I'm not going to make you watch me cut down itty bitty bitty tiny foam strips. I will save you from that torture. All right, so let's take a look at the finished card here. Everything has been adhered, and I added my sentiment here that's also in the Hey, Hey, Hey stamp set. And I love how this turned out. I'm very pleased with it. I cannot wait to use that moon stencil again. I like how I was able to easily alter my stamp here so that it fit in the area that I wanted it to. The depth that I achieved here, I really think it worked, and I'm happy with how it turned out. Hopefully you guys are too. Hope you enjoyed this video, you guys. This was, like I said, my best Kelly impersonation. I'll have her channel linked below. If you don't already watch her, you really are missing out, and you should be. Again, sorry for jumping on that soapbox. Hopefully it didn't come across as too soapbox-ish. I just want to remind y'all to be putting out as much positivity out there as you can, because there is a ton of negativity out there. And again, you don't want to be the one who crushes someone's spirit, right? If you have a favorite crafter out there, leave it in the comments below so that the rest of us can check them out as well. And if you check out that person, make sure you leave them a comment and tell them who sent you, because that would make someone's day, I promise. All right, guys, don't forget to check the description box below for any of the featured products. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye.